weekend, the latest film in the Conjuring franchise, The Nun II, drops in theaters. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your thoughts on The Nun II and what were your expectations going into the film. With that said, let's get started. And to just let you know where this review is headed right out of the gate, The Nun II is probably better than the first film on almost every single level, but that doesn't actually mean it's a particularly good film in and of itself. By comparison, big improvement, but there's still quite a few problems here. On the good side, I think the direction here is better. They decided to, I guess, make the guy that directed The Curse of La Llorona and Conjuring 3 like the main go-to guy to direct the Conjuring film, so now he's directed The Nun II. And he's no James Wan. I don't think he's a master of horror, but I think he does have a better eye than some of the other people that have directed some of the spin-offs and who directed the first Nun film. There's certain sequences that use color in very interesting, creative ways. A lot of the film has very kind of muted, dull tones, and so then when you have these big, vibrant colors, you actually notice it. So just nice directorial elements like that. Just in general, I find that this movie's setting was more interesting and provided more opportunities. One of my issues with the first Nun film is they go off, in a sense, to an interesting location, this remote Romanian castle-looking thing. But that also meant everything felt very monotonous in that film. Everything was just dark, candlelit corridors. And here you have dark, creepy places, but you have more than just that. So there's more opportunities, just kind of diversity in the imagery and the scenarios and the jump scares and everything like that. And to the idea of the setting, because it is set at this boarding school, and there's kind of two parallel narratives going on, everything at the boarding school as well as the investigation with our good nun character. It just means there's the more moving parts, there's more characters to get invested in, there's more characters to kill, there's more opportunities for scares and different things taking place, where once again in the first film, the limitations of that location just meant it was just people wandering around by themselves with candles the whole movie. Whereas here, a lot more stuff can happen. You have children involved, you have teachers. There's a lot of kind of different elements to kind of spice things up, keep things a little bit more interesting. Even kind of to that point, they brought Stormy Reid in as a character to be the companion to our main good nun character. And Stormy Reid is kind of one of these top up-and-coming actresses. I mean, she was in The Last of Us. She starred in a movie back in January. And here, she's legitimately just the tag-along. She has no real grander purpose in the narrative. She has no gigantic arc that takes place. They just cast this promising young actress to have one more kind of person in there so our lead can bounce ideas off of. But she's legitimately just a tag-along with talent as an actress. That's it. And that's kind of what some of this feels like. You add in a number of new characters, cast some familiar faces. One of the actresses from the Chronicles of Narnia trilogy from 15, 20 years back is in this film. And it's nice to see she's still working. She's a competent enough actress. Do I remember her character's name? No. Did she do anything interesting? No. She's just kind of along for the ride. There's more characters filled in that things can happen to you, but they're still not memorable, interesting characters. It is a horror film, so you got to talk about the kills, the scares, and things like that. One of the things I think helps this movie out is that it actually has like a body count. It's not a slasher at all, but there's ways it kind of plays like a slasher with the way the first half of the movie plays out, with what the possession element is kind of doing it here. So you actually get some fun, interesting kills. Some of them that they're just pretty jarring the way that they play out, because they're very like shocking in your face as things happen. So you actually get some kills combined with some of the jump scares. And there's some nice creepy images in here with the way that they use setting, in particular sequence with a newsstand. It's like, well, that's kind of cool to look at and creepy at the same time, in a different way. So adding some elements into it. And then it does crescendo nicely in the finale as the tension escalates, because there's more characters involved and there's children in jeopardy and the movie makes it clear it's not afraid to kill kids and hurt kids. It actually is able to crescendo nicely where you feel the stakes, the danger, what's going to happen to everybody, how will they undo everything that's happening in front of them. You actually feel all of that. And with our lead good nun character, they give her enough of kind of an arc and a backstory of kind of what's going on with her that they're able to do a couple things where they tie a few ideas that have been sprinkled throughout the film together. So it does crescendo nicely in the finale. But the path to get there is also fairly dull outside of these little kills. And legitimately, some of the kills and the way they do things are effective, in particular because they put children in jeopardy and early on make it clear not even kids are safe in this movie. So it does make the scary sequences and tense sequences work well. Big, gigantic problem here with the film is that it's built around an investigation where the audience already knows the answer. The audience is way far ahead of the person doing the investigation. So treating it as a mystery where we're trying to figure out what's going on here, it doesn't work. So all these dialogue scenes where they're trying to piece together who might be doing this, what might be happening here, we're just wasting time to get to the showdown. We're wasting time until it cuts to the next big kill, because it's not a good character piece where we're studying, learning about these characters in an interesting, compelling way. And it's not a movie that is just filled like laughs or action sequences. All you have are the kills, the scares, and this mystery that doesn't work because the audience already knows. And the movie doesn't try to pretend like the audience doesn't know. It pretty clearly reveals like the characters pieced together. They know who everything is up to, but they still treat that a little bit like a reveal inside of the film. And they don't replace intrigue with anything. So they're still trying to use intrigue and like, well, we're going to need this. Maybe they're looking for this about stuff we couldn't possibly piece together. So it's just random exposition treated like a mystery with a reveal. One more thing to just kind of mention here. There is a mid-credit sequence. I suppose it's a tease for what's coming next, but there's not much to it. Maybe I missed something. The people around me were just being very loud and talking to each other about the movie when the mid-credit sequence started. So maybe I missed a line of dialogue that kind of tied things together a little bit more. But as for what I saw and heard, it just felt like a, hey, remember them sort of sequence that didn't have any meat to it that I was able to pick up on. So when it comes to this film, overall, I definitely think it's an improvement over the first Nun on almost every single level, but that's more of a statement about how dull I find the original Nun film. This movie still has its own problems, its own things holding it back. Did it do enough to like win over skeptics who didn't like the first Nun film? Probably not. If you didn't like the first Nun film, this one will bother you less, but you're still probably not going to like it. But if you did like the first Nun film, this is a real nice companion to it in certain senses. You get kind of more exploration of the Roman Catholic Church's knowledge of things. You get more kind of lore and the relics, some of that, the fun mythology that was in the first film. You get more of that. I think the kills, scares are a little bit better. It's a better directed film. Just has a little bit more flair to it that makes it pop more, less dull of a film. As for me, did I really think it worked overall? It's okay, but there's far better films in this franchise, though there are several that are worse too. Overall, I'm giving it a C+ on the entertainment scale, a 6 out of 10. And if you're interested, you can probably just wait to stream this movie. But if you didn't like the first Nun film, you can just skip this one. Be sure to come back this weekend. I'm going to be doing a tier ranking of the Conjuring films. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.